Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another episode of the Pre-Order Bonus Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Warren, and I'm joined, as always, by the Pixel Professor, Jacob. What's a good middle name for you, Jake? I've used many middle names in the past. What would you pick for yourself?
Bumpkin.
Jacob Bumpkin Price, the Pixel Professor, actual professor of... What is the official? Is it humanities? Is it environmental?
Yeah.
Humanities?
The easiest way to explain it is just literature, which is like pretty broad, and I do things a lot more specific than that, but people know what literature is.
Professor of literature at the Utah Valley University there in Provo, Utah. Welcome into the show. First time caller? No. No, Jake's actually the face of the podcast. We're gonna start I need to start using Jake's face more, like on our YouTube. Yeah, like your face. Show your face more on the YouTube YouTube thumbnails. Speaking of which, back on YouTube, you go to YouTube Pre-Order Bonus Podcast if you want to see us talk and you see like our faces and our mouths move when we do the episode. If you're listening on Patreon, you're probably listening on Patreon. You're probably listening on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Google Podcasts isn't even a thing anymore, so it's basically Spotify and Apple Podcasts, right?
Yeah, that's it. There's nothing else.
Well, with that aside, video games. Let's see. Not a ton of crazy stuff. There's been some stuff about Asha Sharma talking about the new Game Pass, the new Xbox head honcho, talking about how Game Pass is too expensive. That is a shocking insight for a, CEO of a division of a multi-trillion-dollar company. I guess not multi-trillion, but trillion, close to trillion, right? Yeah. I mean, Game Pass is too expensive. Yeah, it is. I heard some folks talk about this. Yeah, it is too expensive, but I think you've kind of stepped on your foot there, just like Xbox always does. And it's like, dude, what are you going to do? You're going to make it cheaper? I think, in my opinion, the easiest fix, if I was Asha Sharma, you take Call of Duty off Game Pass and you drop it by $5 a month. I think that's like the middle ground win that would like make people happy. And then also people would be able to understand like, oh yeah, like it doesn't make sense to have Call of Duty on there.
What kind of value do you think would make sense to add? And I'm thinking like outside of access to games, like what kind of other value could you add to Game Pass? I know there's like perks on there, like every now and then you can get like a free month of like Discord Nitro or like cosmetics for a game I've never heard of. But like what would actually, like, you know what I mean? Like these kind of more like peripheral things.
Yeah,
like, what enhancements could you do?
You already get Fortnite Crew, which it's funny, like I still pay for Ultimate. I'm like one of the few people left who still. The reason I pay for Ultimate is because there's games that I want to play with my son, and then I figured out that I would have to get him his own Xbox Live Core subscription, and then I wanted to have like Game Pass PC for myself, and so by the time I like did the math on it, it was like, because that way we could play like co-op together. It was like, oh, I'm basically paying $30 anyway, so I'll just pay it. Then I have Game Pass on console and PC, and then we can play online. And so anyway, I may be doing the math wrong, but that was the quick math I did in my head. But yeah, you do get Fortnite Crew. You get everything free, like in League of Legends. So there's all that stuff. I think you get like Overwatch things. I think the one thing, if they wanted to not decrease the price, is they could add. This is something that I predicted that they would do, but ended up not doing. And you know what I'm going to say, Jake. Add the World of Warcraft subscription into Game Pass.
Yeah. That would be a lot of value. I mean, it's just, I can understand maybe why they're not doing that. Only that, like, if you're playing WoW, are you playing other games? And I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but I mean MMOs, right?
Yeah,
really difficult to play other games if you got one.
Anybody I know who still plays WoW, and I do know a few people who do actually still play WoW. They're not like hardcore. They do. They're gamers. Like they actually play other games. So
Okay.
I think there's an argument there. But yeah, I don't know what other. I don't think it's a question of adding more value. I think it's a question of that is just too expensive. Yeah, it's just too expensive for what it is. Now, that being said, like I think this is the we've already discussed this before, but this is probably the year where actually Game Pass is probably worth its weight. Like if you get Fable, you get Gears of War E-Day, Forza hits. You know what they had replaced on there. They're having a ton of day one. Subnautica is going to be on there. I think they're going to have Eternal Life of Goldman's going to be on there. Like,
no, I mean, first and third party, they got a pretty incredible setup there. I totally agree.
Crazy amount of value, right? So if you're doing the math on it, I do think you're going to get your value if you are still paying for it. But perception wise, $30 is a lot. That being said, Netflix just increased their prices again. They're almost at $30 a month for Netflix right now. So,
isn't that wild? I mean,
it's wild.
That's wild. And I just have to know how many people are actually shedding Netflix subs versus Game Pass subs. I feel like it's easier to maintain a $30 Netflix subscription just because you go through more content more quickly.
Yeah, there's a perception there, right? Like you're probably using. Yeah, I don't know. I do it through T-Mobile, and we're on the ad plan. I don't pay for HD, and so we anyway. It's like T-Mobile, you get Hulu and Netflix like for free. I don't know why they keep doing. T-Mobile's doing weird things. Anyway, yeah. The other news, Jake. I'm curious of your thoughts on. So this game, Windrose, kind of came out of nowhere on Steam. This is a survival crafting pirate game that, by all accounts, looks to absolutely wipe the floor with Skull and Bones, which was, if you guys remember, this is the Ubisoft, and I quote, quadruple A video game.
Yes.
As quoted by the Ubisoft CEO, probably because this thing cost such an enormous amount of money for the number of years that it was in development, ended up being basically, from all accounts, Jake, you actually played, what, like an hour of this?
Yeah, of Skull and Bones? Yeah, I did play a little bit of it.
You played like an hour. Yeah, so like it was bad. And
yeah.
Which is actually insane if you think about it, because Assassin's Creed Black Flag, it was almost like good enough, like, dude, why not just mod that to be multiplayer, like co-op multiplayer? It seems like it wasn't that hard of an ask. You know what I'm saying? Like it seems like it just got ruined. Right. But anyway, that's what Windrose is, except it's survival crafting, and it's like checking all those boxes, and apparently it's like crazy polished, and it's this indie game that's on Steam, and it has like 500,000 installs already. So it actually looks cool. I think I'm gonna download it and like give it a shot, because pirate stuff is dope.
Yeah, I mean, I watched. We talked about this. I watched CodeCarnage stream a little bit of it. I think I've seen. I don't know. It looks good. It looks like a cooler version than New World.
Yeah.
Remember New World?
Yeah, that's still going. MMO, right?
Yeah, I think it is still going. Honestly, I ended up putting in like 15 hours, which is quite a lot for me. I feel
in New World?
In New World, yeah.
Nice.
New World had some cool things going for it. Yeah, and this looks like a better version than it. Yeah, the pirate warfare, all that stuff looks good. You know what's funny is now, if you're new to the podcast, you just need to know the running joke is that I'm always too positive on games and I can't ever be critical. So you're gonna laugh when I say I didn't think Skull and Bones was like that terrible, but it felt pretty like the loop to get everything, like to grind everything out.
Yeah,
really felt unrewarding pretty quickly.
Yeah,
you know, like. I thought like it felt okay. I was surprised that the naval combat seemed pretty minimal for how much time and money went into that thing.
Right.
A part of me was like, dude, if this was like the debut or second game from some indie studio, I would have given it more chance. to be like, oh, they could turn this into something
Right.
really cool. But the fact that it was quadruple A, however many millions of dollars, and just like you had people that already made a better version of this game, it just it tested my patience a little bit that way.
There's also apparently, I think this came out when that game was in development. We've talked about this before, but wasn't there like a loan from the nation of some I like
Singapore, yeah.
from Singapore, right? So it's like, and they were on the hook for that loan. So basically, I think every dollar that game made went to Singapore,
I mean,
which is nuts.
they're still reeling from that financially over at Ubisoft.
Dude,
which
when
why
is
they're having issues.
is Ubisoft is Ubisoft gonna make it?
I think they haven't been bought at this point. If we maybe need to fact check that, which makes me think that nobody wants it, which makes me think they might be saved just by the sheer fact that they have to eke it out themselves. Speaking of survival games, they must survive on their own terms.
Yeah, I mean they still have their major franchises. They still have Far Cry, obviously Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed Shadows was like decent, but not gangbusters. I think they wanted that to sell. They wanted that to be $1 billion game, just like Assassin's Creed,
Yeah.
the one before it, the Viking one. They still have Assassin's Creed Hexi, which is the Eastern European like witch hunter type of one that they're coming out with. So, I don't know. I always want that game to be good. Assassin's Creed Shadows looked gorgeous, but it didn't do anything for me, story or gameplay wise. That was actually really disappointing. I wanted that to pop off more, but it just didn't. Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Yote just do it so much better. It's not even funny.
Yeah, it's wild. Sucker Punch just came in and stole Ubisoft's lunch, I think.
They absolutely did. They absolutely did. Yeah, the other thing, Jake, you brought this up. Pragmata came out. Capcom. This is getting some pretty solid reviews. I've had my kind of like one eye peeking over at it. It's not normally something like just from a visual standpoint, not normally something I probably gravitate towards, but it's got sort of an interesting hook in terms of the combat where they're doing stuff with like real-time hacking and then combining that with the combat, and it's getting like pretty solid reviews. It's not like earth-shattering, but widely pretty dang positive. I don't know. I'm kind of maybe interested in this one. What do you think?
When I first was bombarded with all of the ads for this, because they've been relentless in their ad campaign.
Yes.
I watched some stuff and I was like, yeah, this seems fine, but I was like, I'm fine skipping this. This seems okay. But this past few days, man, just seeing the reviews and the buzz and people talking about it. Somebody said that it plays like modern Resident Evil and has a 10-hour story, and I was like, dang, that is probably the best sales pitch you could have given for this game.
Dude, you just sold me like, gosh.
Right? It's like, dang, that's an incredible,
That's a great pitch right there. Great pitch.
Hearing that, and my tune is definitely turned around on it. I mean, we're kind of in the middle of a giant firestorm of high-profile indies this week.
Yeah.
So part of me is like, dude, I don't want to think about buying or playing another game right now because I am filled to the brim with games. But I don't know. I could see myself, if I don't pick it up now, I'll probably pick it up when it first goes on sale for like 20% off sometime in the summer, and I'll grab it.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm leaning. It's like one I've added to my list, but I don't feel like a deep desire to jump right into it.
Yeah.
It kind of feels similar to me to Mafia: The Old Country. It's in that. It's in sort.
That?
I never did. It's in that same space though, where like I do want to play it, and I'm very interested in it, and it also got like pretty positive reception, and it's this like 8-hour, super polished like high production Mafia game, but it's still like 60. I think it's down to $40 now, but I'm like kind of waiting it for it to hit that like $30 mark or below, and then I'm gonna be all over that for sure.
That's actually my same thought process with Mafia: The Old Country. Saw a bunch of reviews from people whose reviews I feel like I understand, and if they like a game, I'll probably like it too. So Yeah, same. I'm kind of doing a wait and see on that one. This is kind of dumb, but I'm also doing a wait and see actually on Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment. It's a Nintendo
Mm,
first party game, which means I'm looking at used game stores for that one.
yeah.
That's one of those that I was like, this actually looks really good, and it's actually going to play well on Switch too, but I don't have time, and I don't want to do it full price. So
Yeah, I'm the same. Well, a game I do want to do full price, but I didn't because we got keys for it, and that's Replaced.
yes, so thank you to the publisher for giving us keys for review.
Keys for review for Replaced. This is the long-awaited cyberpunk style 2.5D video game that was first showcased like, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. Who knows now? 5, 4.
I looked it up. E3 2021.
E3
So 5 years ago.
2021. So it did happen. I was 6 years ago would be like pre-order bonus podcast, which we don't even talk about those times. But yeah, Replaced. This game obviously was delayed a little bit by a war in Ukraine. So that's, if you're going to delay a game, it's a pretty solid reason. It's finally out. Jake and I have been playing it. It is hard to believe that we are finally playing this game. It actually is extremely surreal. I feel like we have talked about playing this game for years, literally for years, and we are finally playing it. Jake, how are we going to break this one down?
We will be talking about Replaced in 3 different categories, the first of which will be the narrative. And so if you're new to the Pre-Order Bonus podcast, just know that we're going to talk about the first 20 or 30% of a game. That for us means we'll probably talk through chapter 3. And yeah, so just keep that in mind. We're going to be talking about the story beats, the plot, also the narrative, just kind of the structure and what's going on, some characters here and there, and that's how we'll handle the narrative. The next we'll be talking about, the next category is game design. So what you're actually doing in this game. There's combat, there's puzzling, there's platforming. So that's kind of where we're going to focus our attention, talking about Replaced. And then finally, we'll be talking about impact on the industry. We're going to zoom out and we're going to think about where Replaced kind of fits in the grand pantheon of games that are releasing. As I already mentioned, like this is a crazy week for indie games. There's a lot of high-profile games releasing within a week of each other. Replaced is absolutely one of those. And yeah, we'll inevitably circle back to just conversations about long development times. This is a game that was first announced. This is during the COVID moment of the game industry. And so that's how we will be talking about Replaced for this episode.
All right, let's dive into the narrative. Replaced. This is I didn't realize this, but I was not like shocked, but I was very fascinated to learn. This is a sort of an alternate history.
Right. Yeah, this is weird.
It is weird, right? Like it throws you off. What I was thinking when you go into the game, this may be a little bit of a spoiler, but I mean, it's like
it's in the promotional.
It's in the promotional. Yeah, I didn't read closely enough, but but you're in.
Skip ahead about a minute if you are like, ooh, I want to play Replaced and not have anything big.
I mean, you're probably not going to listen to this podcast if you want to be completely blind. But yeah, no, it's in the 1980s in the United States in Phoenix City, and it is in a alternate history where the world has been ravaged by what looks to be, again, I'm kind of spitballing based on little snippets and notes that you read like in the beginning in the world, the outcome of probably World War II or some version in this world, right? So there's crazy stuff going on, and you're in this sort of like futuristic / 80s style universe. Phoenix City, you've got stuff with AI going on there, where there's like AI. There's this massive, corporation that has sort of basically taken over the United States, and they live on, this like pursuit of health and longevity and like medical things and like advancing human civilization. But then there's this sort of underpinning of, people getting killed and, inequality, and, you're on the outskirts of the city and kind of discovering stuff going on. And it's very cryptic, and you don't know exactly what's happening other than all I can say is like you start off, you're hooked into like a computer and there's an AI, and then suddenly you're in the body of someone named Warren, but you are the AI, and so like the AI has like inhabited Warren's body, and then the story kicks off and you're trying to make your way back into Phoenix City, and then a whole bunch of stuff happens. That's kind of the setting.
Yeah, that's definitely the setting of Replaced. I think it's really interesting in that like Cyberpunk games that I have played recently would be Cloudpunk, and then I'm thinking like even Cyberpunk 2077 a little while ago for me now, but they have this huge emphasis on the evils of mega corporations being oppressive and totalitarian with their control of capital and control of economies, right?
Yes.
The other half of Cyberpunk, though, is the post-humanism in it, which is like, what is human identity outside of the body? And so, like, think of this, and sorry, post-humanism as a term and as a concept is very much on my mind. In one of my classes, this is a topic we're in right now. But thinking about it in terms of like science fiction is like when you modify your body, like what exactly are you detracting or taking away from whatever your body's natural state is?
Interesting.
And that can be as simple as like, these are kind of extreme examples, meaning that they're so simple that oftentimes we wouldn't consider them like modifications of the body. But like, for example, if you wear glasses, this is the technology that you're wearing that enhances your vision, or what we would say corrects your vision. And then you can think about it in more and more. I mean, you could think about this in terms of like plastic or cosmetic surgery, right? Like you're modifying your body in order for it to fulfill some sort of, either gender or body fantasy of what it's supposed to look like with hormone therapy.
Right.
And then you can take it to where we see it in something like Cyberpunk games, where what happens if I replace my entire arm with a mechanic arm, right? What happens if I start adding modifications to my brain? What happens if I have an AI planted in my brain? To what degree am I still human? And I feel like Replaced definitely thematically is on that side of things. There's definitely big evil corporations and there's huge economic inequality, and of course all that stuff really matters. But I feel like the core of the game, like you've described, the AI that Warren Marsh, this like lead scientist, was working on for this mega corporation called Reach. He was working with the AI. What I think is super freaking uncanny about this game is like it was coming out, like it was first announced in 2021, and that's before you had like OpenAI and these other AI companies really explode. And so now it's extremely timely because it's like, what happens if I'm constantly working with AI? And they even, sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, so I'm going to tidy up my thoughts here a little bit. But so yeah, at the beginning of the game, Warren's brain gets fused with the AI that he has been creating and working with. And so from the get-go, the game is about, okay, is Warren still human? Is Warren still in there? Is the AI now human because it's operating like a human body? And this is some of the weird part of the early stuff in the game. It's like you feel like a super soldier, and people will call you that. And in part, it's because your brain is no longer human. It's AI. So I love that. I love that it's leaning on that side of the fence. I think it's a good change in pace compared to other Cyberpunk games I've been playing.
Yeah, and it starts off like exploring sort of the, like you mentioned, like this conflict that the people are having of like they're finding candidates for like this AI sort of consciousness transfer, and then they get on. This is slight spoilers. Skip ahead. They look on the computer and they find someone who's like, oh, like that person like wasn't supposed to be in the system, and then Warren goes and like checks the computer and like they're in there, and then Warren tells the person who's working for him like sometimes it's best to just do what you're told. Some friendly advice, right? And she's like, oh, okay, and that's like that was dark. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Obviously, this is a commentary on many things. Obviously, capitalism, and it has those cyberpunk themes that are present in all the, like you mentioned, like cyberpunk. I'm not like deep in the cyberpunk world, but obviously, cyberpunk is this a genre, Jake? Like, this is like books, movies, video games, TV, right? Like, this is a genre of sci-fi, like a subgenre. Is that correct?
I'm probably going to make listeners very angry, but I think cyberpunk is technically either a subgenre or an aesthetic of science fiction.
That's what so when I saw Cyberpunk 2077, I first read it as like, oh, this is just sort of this interesting sci-fi thing that CD Projekt Red created. But then when I got into it, I realized like, oh, this is actually they're using this subgenre. Yeah, it says our cyberpunk, a genre of science fiction set in a lawless subculture in an oppressive society dominated by computer technology and big corporations. So yeah, this is like right in that dead center in that genre is replaced for sure. So yeah, I think there's some other. It's interesting you bring up the post-humanism stuff. Like I think it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately is like the use of GLP-1s and how they like change. And so there's this debate if you go, I'm like not super deep, but like deep enough to understand the nuances and like the niches and like the online bodybuilding and like fitness community. Right. And one of the big debates and conversations right now is like, is using a GLP-1 take away your natty status? And it used to be that like, oh, it's only artificial hormones that actually break your natty status. Stuff like Anavar, Tren, or like stuff that bodybuilders use to human growth hormone, things like that basically make you big and strong and recover like crazy fast, like superhuman. Well, the peptides, the GLP-1 peptides, like blunt your hunger and allow you to basically just like be more lean because you don't want to eat. And so basically every single fitness personality now, especially like the super, super lean, super, super shredded ones, every single one of them are on tirzepatide, like 99.9%.
Interesting.
And so they still go on and proclaim like, oh, I'm natty. And they're super diced, but it's like, well, you're on a artificial hormone that blunts your hunger. So like you're not really natty, but I guess how do you define natty? Is that natty, right? Is it like not natty? I think of natty as like you're not taking anything. That being said, like I take creatine, but that's not a hormone. Like that's a micronutrient that's like present in the body. So anyway, weird debate, weird tie-in to replaced, but that's what made me think of when you brought that up.
I mean, that's the conversation, right? It's like when you start modifying the human body, given like whatever it does naturally in a naturally occurring way, like in what way are you messing with what should be considered human identity, right? Yeah, so I love that Replace is doing this. I think it's super cool. I think it takes too long to really get there in a meaningful way.
Yes.
So I'll be totally clear. I am not at the end of the game. I have not beat the game, but I'm pretty dang close to the end at this point. I've gotten through some major plot reveals, which I will not discuss here, obviously. And I just gotta say, the further I get into the game, the more refined this idea and the way that they talk about these themes comes into focus, just in a much more interesting way. The game is a little front-loaded with like 80s. Man, like you meet this character early on. Sorry, this is like chapter 2, chapter 3, so we won't go past any of this. So, but if you don't want to hear this, you're being warned. You meet this character named Tempest, which could have been played by Kurt Russell, like easily,
Yeah, it's like if you draw 80s on a whiteboard, this is like the character you come up with. Like when you're making a cyberpunk game and you want like some 80s themes, like this is the character that you come up with. Yeah.
Yeah, this is exactly the character that you come up with.
Yeah.
Right out of American like cinema.
It's Kurt Russell in a leather jacket with like pink sunglasses. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, headband. Like it's like and honestly, this early part, like the world that's being built here, Phoenix City, and then the outskirts, because you have to evacuate Phoenix City because after this explosion takes place at the Reach AI facility, and this fusion takes place, the police officers, they come after you and they're trying to kill you. And they kind of treat you as like somebody who witnessed something that nobody was supposed to see.
Right.
And so they're hunting you down, you escape Phoenix City, and then you end up just like in this space of disposals. is what they're called. All these outcasts outside the city. You essentially find like their safe haven, and it's gorgeous, man. The level of detail in this game is
Dude, it's
phenomenal.
it may be. I was thinking to myself, like, it might be the most gorgeous, like 2.5D or like pixel based type of graphic like that I've ever seen. It's absolutely insane. Yeah.
No, I would agree. Like it's one of the best looking games, especially in what you're saying in these genres here or in these art styles. They're full of life. They're full of people. But man, do those NPCs in there feel pretty one dimensional? um,
Yeah.
and it's a shame because I think that the story actually sets up for this really cool premise on like, okay, you were the hotshot scientist that made the AI that is obviously being used for evil by this corporation. You yourself, as a scientist, it's alluded to, you probably buy into the mission of what this evil corporation is doing. And then you are flung into the outskirts, right? And it's not so much you, Warren Marsh, as it is the AI that's doing all the thinking and talking and discovery. And I gotta say, it's just fascinating to me because I'm like, okay, we know that the AI is like discovering this like social inequality and all these problems that are happening. And you can also tell that this AI has been kept in the dark in terms of what its objective was and what it was really doing for this corporation.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, but does the bad scientist whose body we're using, is he internalizing any of this
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah.
So like that premise to me, like that feels cool and that feels really unique for something in Cyberpunk. But man, I just feel like you talk with all these one-dimensional NPCs and I'm like, let me get back to the central premise here.
The central premise is fantastic. It's very, very intriguing, like very compelling. 100% agree with you. And similarly agree that the pacing, there's issues with the pacing. And these, like, again, when you're taking a pause to talk to like some of these NPCs, dude, it just drags. I do not care what anyone is saying. I'm like, okay, and it tries to slow you down. Again, minor spoiler, skip ahead if you don't want to hear. Minor spoiler, like you get to this basically this dwelling, this like little city on the outskirts, and like you said, and it has you go out and do this like sort of quick random assortment of side quests to help out the people. And I think it's trying to communicate this idea that you're bringing up is like, oh, like the AI is like helping these people, but it's not really helping the people because this person is a hero. It's because the AI is like doing whatever it needs to do to try and like get back into the city and like accomplish its objective. But again, or it's not exactly clear what that objective is. And then at the same time, you have that like tug and pull of like, well, this is the body of Warren, who by all accounts is not a great guy, but we really like actually don't know super well exactly what's happening. So that's all super intriguing. You get this dialogue though, and I'm trying to skip the dialogue. I'm like, cool. Like you're telling me random crap I don't care about, like skip, and you can't skip it. You got to like just sit there and stare at the text, and it drives me nuts. This is another game too, Jake. I feel like we needed the voice acting here, man. I wanted it.
It's man, I think I'm a little torn here. I totally get it. I think voice acting could have made a lot of this dialogue come to life in interesting ways.
That's
definitely with you there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think my biggest issue with this is, and we talked about this is the difference between storytelling and story. Great story, not a fan of the storytelling.
Yeah.
You get these extremely cool looking NPCs. So at this hub, you meet the matriarch, Ironwood, Yo-Yo, this like girl,
Random girl in the arcade. Yeah.
Girl who knows how to make machines, Sarah, I think is her name. And I'm like, okay, you've got the characters, they've got the look, but they just don't they walk the walk, but
they're
they don't
lifeless.
talk.
Yeah, they're lifeless. I mean,
It's a shame.
Tempest has at least like some vibes to him, so you're kind of like, oh, okay, I kind of get but you don't get what he is through the dialogue. You get what he is because you just understand pop culture references, and so you can like, eke out like what they're trying to do. But yeah, 100% agree. I will say though, like that main story hook is keeping me going. Like I want to see what happens. I want to understand like where this thing gets resolved and like where these like main beats happen. But yeah, just like some of the storytelling to get there, not great. A little slow.
Yeah. Yeah, and just to clarify, it does get more refined the further into the game you get.
Yes, it
But
does.
I just wonder if there was like this concern with world building and getting you immersed, when the premise alone was enough to get me hooked. So
Yeah, it's something. Maybe this is a less is more thing. I think
yeah,
similarly to, I think we can transition right off that. The combat and the gameplay also gets a lot better as it goes. And it's one of the things. So just to describe like the gameplay loop here. So this is a, again, 2.5D. You move left, right, north, south. In certain moments, the game will tell you you can move north or you can move south or you can move down or you can move up, but you're mostly just moving side to side. You're jumping and you're solving very light puzzles, like jump puzzles. So light, in fact, that sometimes I'm playing them and I'm like, is this really necessary? Maybe we can just go straight to the thing.
yeah,
It's one of those jump puzzles in video games. It kind of makes me think of Uncharted, where sometimes they have jump puzzles and like a ton of jumping things where you're like, maybe you can just bring me right to the set piece and we would be fine. Like we didn't need to have these filler sections. And then in between that, you have these combat set pieces that are basically Arkham City, Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum combat, like Batman games, essentially, with a couple little nuances here and there. And so you have this combat. It's basically dodge, counter, shoot with your gun, and then enemies get again as you play the game. There's new enemy types that come in. You have to approach them like slightly differently. Combat gets a little bit harder. And I won't spoil what happens later, but there's a cool thing that happens with combat later that I think actually is kind of a cap on, I think, where they're going with it. It just takes maybe like a little bit too long to get there, I think.
yeah. So yeah, we're now talking game design, combat. I think it's fine. I have some scenarios that I feel like where I get annoyed, and some scenarios where I'm like, okay, that was a sick combo that I just pulled off. Or like, okay, I absolutely navigated this scenario beautifully.
Visually
right?
looks sick when you do, like, I mean, the animation is incredible. Yeah, like it's so good.
Yeah, and I know it sounds like, I mean, we are, we're sharing our critiques and our thoughts. I think I just to stress to listeners, we are not being hyperbolic. We are not exaggerating when we say that this is easily one of the best looking 2.5 HD whatever games ever. Some of the best pixel art ever. Like
Yes, 100%.
it's just like really unmatched. But yeah, combat. So I was reading that the developers were inspired by the Batman series for this combat.
100%.
And yes, you can feel it easily. Here's the thing that gets me though, is that you are this is a 2D game in combat scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like you're pretty not severely, but you're restricted on crowd control abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to really figure out how to fight everybody one-on-one. Whereas in the Batman games, I felt like you could do a little more crowd control because it's 3D. Like the abilities just kind of allowed you to do that.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'll feel like, okay, there was nothing I could have done here, really. And I just lost 4 hearts worth of HP because I had to dodge this one attack. I couldn't block it. And the timing was off that I was going to get hit in the head by a bullet. Now I'm stunned, and then somebody is charging with a bash at the same time. And it's like almost a comedy of errors. And I'm just like, okay, I'm just getting tossed around like a rag doll for a few seconds here. But like I said, conversely, there are some moments where I just managed to hit all the inputs perfectly, and I'll just waste 3 guys really quickly, So I don't know. I feel like the combat in essence and in design is really good. It's really solid, but it's not like I'm doing a gesture with my hands here. Sorry. This is not helping anybody understand what I'm trying to say. But I feel like it gets a little too vague when it need to be zoomed in or homed in a little bit. Like just a little tighter, I feel like. So there's less
Yeah.
moments where I feel like I'm just
Uh,
getting thrashed, you know?
I will say from the demo, which was not that long ago, to launch and like playing it now, the combat is miles better. So they did like a ton of work. I imagine they'll still continue to tighten that up now post launch. But yeah, I do agree. There's just a little bit, right? Like, especially if you played the Batman game. I will say, if you played the Batman games, like, you're going to ace this combat. Like, I haven't died once until like a later spot, but that's because like it has the exact same dance that the Batman combat has, and once you know that dance, you can just, I mean, in Batman you can take on like 50 enemies at a time and you can just handle it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just needed to be like a teeny bit tighter. It's like right there. It's just like right on the edge. It's this. I think the throughput of this conversation, as we talk about both the game design and the story and the visuals, is. And I know we've been negative. I think the reason that we're both coming across maybe highly negative is because I think this is a game that maybe more than any other game we've talked about on the podcast is right on the edge of masterpiece.
Yeah.
And doesn't fall over the edge and just sits there. And it's frustrating. I think there's this frustration of like, man, I see just like with a couple knobs turned like here and there, this could be like an all-timer. And it just doesn't quite fall over the edge.
Yeah, and honestly, platforming, I feel the same way. Platforming,
100%.
7 out of 10 times I'm fine with it, and then those other 3 times it's because I freaking the jump in this game, man. You can jump and then you can press. So I'm playing on an Xbox controller, so you press A to jump, and then you can hold it down longer for a slightly bigger jump. But dude, the timing and the magnetism from you jumping from one location to another,
Yeah.
something about it.
Something just a
Sometimes
little laggy, or like
Yeah.
I've even had
Keep rolling. I gotta check something.
Markdown 42 as the gap.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, yeah, just the platforming especially. I think combat is actually better here, but yeah, platforming, it's just like you just needed to tighten that knob just a teeny bit, just make the jump like a little bit more responsive. There's some glitchiness when there's an ability that you get later into the game where you like basically can attach to walls. I feel like that glitched for me, like it glitches for me like half the time, and it's so freaking infuriating when it doesn't land the way that you think it should, like when you see it visually and you hit the button and you're like, oh dude, it's so close, man, so close.
So close. You know what cracks me up about this game is that there's yellow paint everywhere, but it's like not enough. I think it's because yellow paint in a lot of games, like things that you can interact with or where you're supposed to go and what you can mantle up onto, whatever, it tends to be super obvious. What cracks me up is I feel like the yellow paint in this game blends in so well with the environments. It's not doing its job. Like, if you run into moments like that, I feel like
I think
sometimes I'll look at the stage, I'm like, what do I
mean,
do? And then I'm like, I can attach to all of this. Okay.
I'm playing on PC on like an OLED, and dude, this game pops on the OLED. My goodness, dude, the colors, it's insane. And so I'm really close to the screen, so I'm getting all the detail, like super close. But yeah, totally agree. Like if I was on a TV and it's like I'd be like staring. I'm staring at the screen right now. You can't see what I'm doing. I'm squinting my eyes. But yeah, dude. No, it's right there. You know what it made me think of? The platforming sections. It maybe I had this literally had this thought last night. I was like, man, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is such a good game. Because that game has ridiculously tight and incredible platforming and combat, and dude, that game just does so many things. So freaking that game is crazy. Anyway, yeah. Game design. I think that's all I have to say about game design. I mean, that's pretty much the game in terms of like what you actually do. Otherwise, you're just kind of going through this story. Honestly, great movie idea. That someone needs to draft the script up for this thing. It would be an incredible to see this on screen. 100%.
I actually thought that a few times. I was like, I'd watch this, man. Like, I would watch this movie for sure.
I'd watch the crap out of this movie. It made me think of, oh my gosh. Dude, what's the movie where the guy, like, hacks his body? Oh my gosh, this is going to bother me. I'm going to have to look this up. Okay, we can keep talking, but I'm going to find the movie, but I'm going to recommend this if you haven't seen it. This is an incredible, like, it's not a cyberpunk movie, but it is a sci-fi movie, and it's kind of about AI.
Okay.
It's very good.
My final thoughts on game design and gameplay would be that scattered throughout the world, you can find two main upgrade components. One would be just like your health. I love this because you will find, like, instead of finding like 4 heart pieces to get 1 heart container, you'll just find an upgrade for your health, and it's just an automatic half heart immediately, which matters because some enemies won't do damage that is more than half a heart. And so I love that. And then you can get pickups where you can charge your energy for your gun faster. So essentially you use your gun by charging melee attacks, which essentially means if you land melee attacks or counters, it'll help charge the gun. And if you are passive or you dodge a lot, then that charge will go away more quickly. So it incentivizes you to play much more aggressive. And if you can really get into a good rhythm, like you can get shots going left and right, and you can dispatch like a whole group of enemies much more quickly that way.
I mean, I will say the Arkham combat system has stood the test of time. It still is like pretty satisfying when it works, and it mostly works. And like, it's crazy that combat system has been copied by somebody. I mean, it just works. I don't know. Like, I feel like you have Souls-like combat and you have this style of combat have been like the two that have sort of taken over in terms of combat design. But once again, just needed the knobs tightened just a teeny bit. Also, the movie is called Upgrade. A man who is paralyzed after a violent attack gets an experimental AI chip implanted in his spine called STEM, which gradually takes more control of his body. Really good movie, and in the vein of like this game. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about impact on the industry. This game, I don't know anything about sales numbers. Obviously, this just launched. It is on Game Pass, so from a financial impact, I'm not sure. This is a obviously smaller studio out of the Ukraine, but dude, this game is freaking gorgeous.
Yeah,
I think if the impact, where I go with impact immediately is, this is going to be studied like for art direction and like art design by everybody, dude. Like I don't know how you could look at this as somebody who does like game art or, you know, concept artist or technical designer. Obviously it's 2.5D, so maybe it doesn't apply as much in the 3D space, but dude, they nailed it visually. Yeah. I'm struggling to think of something that cohesively does everything as well as they've done everything in terms of the visuals and the storytelling and the environment, and the amount of detail is absolutely insane in every single frame.
Yep. I mean, it's easily one of the best games I've looked at in recent memory and ever. It far surpasses, I don't know, if whoever the guy is who's the director for The Last Night, if you're listening to this, I just want you to know that, dude, you missed your boat. It's over, man.
It's over, bro. Good luck.
You announced your game 4 or 5 years before this one. This game managed to still release after being in a war-torn country and moving their team from Ukraine to Cyprus. You still haven't launched
Did,
their game. You've lost the rights to anybody talking about
did
how your
we
game looks.
did we talk about how that guy was apparently at GDC like shopping his game around to developers in like private rooms? It's like, dude, what are we doing? What are we even doing, bro? Like, what's going on? Is this a Ponzi scheme?
Yes, it is a Ponzi scheme, and your ship sailed so far away that it has fallen off the flat Earth you think we live on.
And to your point, like, sorry, your whole shtick of having incredible, like, forget about it. You're not gonna match this. Like, there's no shot.
It's over. Yeah, they crushed it. It is amazing. I agree with you. It's like a masterpiece in regards of visuals, animations. I love the cutscenes. I love the camera work. I mean, this game feels so cinematic because of how they're using the camera and these cutscenes in super cool ways. I mean, even from the beginning, there's a super cool shot. So, of course, it's side-scrolling game, so the camera is basically just panning and tracking alongside the protagonist the whole time. There's one moment, I think you get kicked in the chest by a cop, and then you land, and then you slowly kind of like roll all the way over because of the momentum, and the camera tracks with that roll. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, so the camera, it turns full circle, and dude, oh my gosh, how whoever was in charge of like directing the camera work here,
brilliant.
Freaking incredible. Like, and again, this would easily, I feel like, translate into film because of how cinematic everything looks, right? I'm with you. I think people are going to be hit or miss. They're going to have different opinions on combat, platforming, etc. But the way that this game looks is going to stand the test of time.
I mean, it could be the visual of it, and I think the story, but mainly the visuals. That could be the one thing that like keeps this game in the zeitgeist for like just years and years to come. Like, I could see people talking about this as like not necessarily as like the masterpiece that had like the most incredible gameplay, but just really, really went the extra mile from a visual standpoint, which that's important, especially now in this age of AI and AI visuals and like AI generated like visual design to like save money and do those things, which I think is an important part of the conversation. I think I'm probably on a spectrum. Obviously, I'm a bit biased because I do work in AI, and so I can see kind of the forest from the trees on that. But yeah, there is this conversation around, like, how do we save money? We need to like save money and lower costs, and so that we can do more things and like keep people employed. And so there's the good part of that conversation, and then there's the bad part on like, well, does all the art design and the visuals become slop, right? Is it generated? Yeah. This is a game that is so meticulously handcrafted. It is like completely in the, at least as far as we know, there hasn't been any allegations or anything along those lines that this game had anything in terms of like AI content generation, but
yeah,
it's just an incredible visual. It's a visual feast, man. It's a visual feast. Like I said, that's going to be the impact of this game, I think, is for a long time to come. Just to reiterate, that is the studying these visuals and taking a look at it. I think in a few years we're going to talk about like, man, remember Replaced? That game looks so good. Yeah. And because it's the 2.5D, it's going to last forever. Like, it's going to be ageless, right?
So I totally agree. Just other things to talk about with impact on the industry. This game has been in development for over 5 years because it was only announced 5 years ago. I sure hope that they don't have to lay anybody off. I mean, their circumstances have been so wild, right? They've had Xbox as a publisher, and that's why this is on Steam and Xbox consoles only, because this deal was made a long time ago when Xbox was using different strategies. I don't know if this will make anybody buy an Xbox console, but I think it could get people to pick up a Game Pass subscription for a month, just because this game has been in the conversation in terms of marketing and hype for quite a while now, for several years, and it has always had strong visuals to make it memorable. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know the finances at all behind publishing this, what it costs to get the team out of Ukraine safely, if the publisher even helped with any of that, I don't know anything regarding that, but I just know the current climate of the industry. And so I'm like, okay, I hope this game does well, because clearly, listen, this is like to me, this is one of those studios. This is the debut game from this studio. It
Yeah,
looks as good and it plays as well as it does. You know, their follow up is going to be probably hit that master, piece status. So I want that to happen for this game.
I think there was enough hype around this that I think it will. And the other thing is like the advantage of being in Eastern Europe is you just don't need as much money to keep the team going, right? So, and as far as I know, this could be naive of me to say I haven't done research on this at all, but I think this is an independent studio, so they're not going to have corporate overlords. They're going to shut them down or be like, well, you didn't make $1 billion, so
Right.
yeah, man.
I think you're right. I think it's an independent studio that is just published by Xbox.
Is it
So big-
Xbox published? Is that what it is?
Folks, let's look this up really quick.
It's Sad Cat Studios, and no, it's published by Coatsink,
Oh, Coatsink is great.
Swedish video game holding company, and Thunderfall for Windows and Xbox Series X.
And Thunderfall is also great.
Swedish
but-
company, so
Different economic system over there than what we got here in the States. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of with you in the sense that
I feel confident they'll be fine. I think they'll be great.
Yeah, they'll probably be fine because this game has been in people's memories for quite a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's see other things on impact on the industry, man. Obviously, if your game is being developed in a country that is in the middle of a war, that's less than ideal. I don't think I need to say anything else beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of a miracle that this game finally came out. And it's cool to see that it was able to, despite, so many delays.
100%. Miracle that this came out. Miracle it looks as good as it does. Yeah, crazy achievement, man. Crazy achievement.
Yeah.
This team should be super proud, and yeah, I recommend it overall. Like, I know we were I think the aggressiveness of our feedback was based on like because there's so much good here. It's like just these little tiny things that like
Yeah.
And you know what? I think that they will tighten them. They'll continue. I mean, they'll continue to polish this. I believe they've already addressed like a few things in like a patch or two. Yeah, dude. I mean, look at games now, right? Like they continue to make changes and upgrades. So,
Yeah.
depending on how much like if the game's big enough and it gets enough feedback, I could see them overhauling. I 100% they will fix the bugs. This thing will get super polished. Yes, do we want it to be super polished at launch? We do, but that's not the reality of the world we live in. So,
Correct. Yeah.
unless you're Hollow Knight Silksong, but then you just take as long as you want. You take an extra 2 years because you just don't care.
Because you can, right? You
Yeah.
have this ability and security to do.
You're on the anti-death march.
Exactly right. So moral of the story is just make sure your game is as well funded as Silksong was.
Make sure it's a team of like 3 developers who make one of the biggest indie games of all time and then have unlimited time to make their next game.
Yeah, easy.
Easy.
That's my LinkedIn post. If you want advice, follow me there. Actually, don't. I'm never on LinkedIn, but
LinkedIn. Never go on LinkedIn, Jake. LinkedIn's terrible. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our episode chatting Replaced. Broke down the narrative, game design, and industry impact of Replaced. This is on Game Pass, on Steam. Go check this one out. Incredible game, awesome game. Does a lot of amazing things. If you like the show, you like what you heard today, please leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. Seriously, take 5 minutes, leave a review. We need more of those. Helps people find the show. Helps just get bigger general audience. You can join us on our Discord channel if you want to get in on the conversation. You want to chat with us, chat with people in our community about video games, about games that you're playing, a ton of other topics. Hop on the Discord. Link to that is in the description. Find us on Patreon, patreon.com/PreorderCast. You can get extended editions of our regular episodes and special topics episodes, which are only available to Patreon subscribers. That's $5 a month for our deluxe edition. You can also get Jake's indie impressions, a whole series of additional content that Jake does just by himself on indie games. You can get that separately or you can get that bundled. And then finally, you can watch Jake stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/ChipDip18. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great night.